I'm Erica Wassinger. I am part of the team at the Startup Collaborative. So every day I work with really incredible folks, really resilient folks I'm organizing right now to help them navigate what they are starting and what they're trying to grow.
Well, I'll introduce myself and then I'll probably give the mic to Cameron and Jim real quick. But I'm Mitch Treu. I'm with the Startup Collaborative as well, colleague of Erica and Cameron French. I'm going to be the primary speaker, but we have a number of participants that can chime in at any point. Cameron, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. As Mitch was kind of saying, this is part one of this really cool webinar webucation series that we're starting, partnering up with DoSpace and the Nebraska Enterprise Fund. My role with the Startup Collaborative is program manager, but really my role is mainly seeing kind of what the digital acquisition looks like for bringing new entrepreneurs in and trying to make that idea of starting up as easy as possible for anyone and everyone throughout the greater Omaha area. And so it's really interesting to see all the variety in the people that are coming to us and also those problems and pain points that they're bringing as well, because we really want to make sure we start that process with trying to solve problems first and not trying to just sell solutions. And I think that'll be some of the content that Mitch will touch upon today, but hopefully we can connect afterwards with this, and then hopefully we'll all see you next week as well for our next presentation. But I will let Jim introduce himself.
Yeah, thank you, Cameron. I'm Jim Reif with Nebraska Enterprise Fund, and we're super delighted to be working with Cameron and Mitch and Erica to do a collaboration. Startup Collaborative does great stuff, and we're a micro and small business lender and support group, and we also provide a lot of training as well as having a revolving loan fund. Usually a little more traditional business, but we still look at we're happy to work with any businesses, and we're really looking forward, Mitch, to your session, because we know a lot of our clients are in this space of what do I do right now, and I think this is a perfect time for that. So thank you for the opportunity to work together.
Yes, I'm happy to help. And Jim, I know you've been extremely busy this past a few weeks, and I just appreciate you taking the energy and effort and time to put this together and ask us to speak and to collaborate. So keep up the work, and we appreciate it to the fullest. And just another thank you to DoSpace for creating this opportunity, this environment to all meet virtually here. Pardon the non-video, but I'll just be looking at blank screens, but that's okay. That's the world we live in, and I know that you guys understand and are going to give me a break. But I do want to shout out, Allison and Bree and Ruth. Thank you so much for creating this environment.
Yeah, and I just want to throw out BC Clark is here with us as well. So thanks, BC. She's a huge asset to both NEF and to the whole community. So throw our kudos out to her for being here.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I think we can kind of get started here. I mean, Cameron mentioned this is series of 1 of 2, getting your house in order to sell digital first. Because, right now we're in an environment and opportunity where we have to operate, where maybe we don't see the customers, or the customers now have to buy a different way. And we really have to focus on our approach and how we approach sales, marketing, and kind of customer service. And that's what we're going to be doing.
And I'll just hop in here, guys. Mitch thrives off conversation. And so even though he can't see your faces, he probably has his second screen loaded with the chat box and things like that are going on. So as things are popping up, I know Grace said she was on here. She works in digital personas. Emily, it sounds like you're with Boyd Jones. We've got Andy Cockle, Cindy, all sorts of people that are doing really interesting stuff in different categories. Keep chiming in on that chat. Make sure you ask questions on there, and then we'll make sure that Mitch pins those questions and then answers them as they go. But I will tell you a dirty secret on this one. He really likes having engaged audiences. So.
Yeah. I definitely don't like to be in the spotlight. I want everyone to win for sure. And yeah, I appreciate that, Erica. So I think the best sessions are collaboration, not just one brain, but a number of different use cases and viewpoints. So please don't be shy. I won't be shy as well. So very collaborative type of session here. But today's conversation is going to be talking about just high level 4 different things. Know your customer persona, digital and existing, refining your value proposition, also kind of level up on your CRM before you start pushing sales outreach, and then just let's figure out how to audit and kind of activate your digital footprint. And then the last 30 minutes, that is our goal, to have Q&A from the audience, so we can have some really good focused conversations to get some key takeaways. So before starting, your world and mine are now different from 4 weeks ago. And I talked to you today. I'm having to do the same exercise and rethink my approach, my focus, and how I communicate with my colleagues, my family, friends, vendors, partners. So kind of the good news is people are reaching out. People make the community, and the community is coming together and being supportive, which is a really cool thing. But we have to acknowledge that it is different, and we're having to rethink. With that being said, I kind of wanted to put some statistics in mind. I'm definitely a context person. That's one of my top BP10 scores, Builder Profile 10 scores. And just wanted to kind of highlight that 67% of employers have taken this step to enable workers who come into the office to work from home. 163 million, now it's even more, in the US have ordered to stay home and work from home. That is an incredible number. On a local level here, it's always nice to have that kind of lens. Cass, Dodge, Douglas, Ottawa, Sarpy, Washington County kind of represents 44% of the Nebraska population. That is just a large portion here. So our goal is we're wanting to collaborate, share this information so we can all keep it top of mind, be ready, and excel during this digital age. I wanted to kind of put this quote out there. Last week, I had a conversation with a fellow through the Startup Collaborative. I am the growth lead at the Startup Collaborative. I help with acquisition of customer and help with sales and marketing and business development. And we were doing just what we're talking about right now. We're trying to establish with this company, Mylan Solutions, a new customer, a new segment, and new value props to get into the market. And he immediately said, quote, "Urgency is a platform of change," end quote. And I just was like, that is so real. We are in that urgency right now, and let's make it a platform of change. So let's get to it. We're gonna first talk about the digital customer persona. And I don't know if you can see, I know you can see these shields to the left here. I just wanted to do a little plug for TSC here. Naturally, I'm a sales guy, you'll see. So I wanted to kind of do that elevator pitch, but we at the Startup Collaborative try to radically improve the odds of success. And we have a methodology that we follow. So we've set modules that have pre-work, a set adjunct, whiteboard sessions, outcomes to achieve, and I do disclose a number of the modules here that relate to kind of the topics that we're talking about. So what is a customer persona? It's simply a real and validated narration of an ideal customer. Why do you need a customer persona? It's really to help you understand your customer and prospective customer in more detail, and to make it easier to tailor content to the needs, behaviors, and concerns. You guys all know that, but it is really, really important to keep it top of mind to the right, most simple, executed relative messaging, and this exercise really helps with that. I do have a visual here that kind of describes the user. This is a customer persona like components. So think of this as a bio outlining the demographics and the psychographics. So just to kind of talk about a couple of them, the demographic information is really just that baseball card, basic information, the job title, and where you fit in the org, and what their day looks like. The biggest challenges and pain points, and don't forget the digital first factors as well to add. The painkillers, and what are they looking to solve? One of my favorite is the channels to acquisition. List the path to find the user. Is it PR, the earned media? Is it SEM? Is it SEO? Is it social digital ads? Is it content marketing, trade shows, speaking engagements, outbound, inbound sales and marketing? How are you acquiring those customers into a funnel? Now the psychographic information, it's really applying the personality, the values, the opinions, the attitude, the lifestyle, the interests of those personas. What motivates them? What's incentivizes them? What do they want to achieve? And what are their focus goals? And these last two are some of my favorites as well as the competition. What other solutions are they considering in lieu of yours? What are the most common objectives to your product and services? Now, I found it in a number of different ways, or a number of different situations that founders and business owners sometimes aren't as honest and transparent with this. But you really do have to focus. What are the competitors doing well, and what are the objectives that you really need to answer? And then preferred purchasing process. So one of my favorites I always think about is, how are they wanting to pay? Is it mobile? Is it last minute? Is it desktop? Is it PayPal? ACH? Is it financing, like a pay now, buy now, pay later option? So we have to think about those things. I kind of wanted to pause real quick and to open up the mic. I know Cameron French and Erica have some really good use cases and experience since they talk about the founders at TSC. Do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, I'd love to chime in really quick. Cameron French here with the Startup Collaborative. We always try to say that to know yourself and to know your business and your company is to know your customer. And so as you're constructing these customer personas, you want to make sure that you're keeping them dynamic and organic. They're meant to evolve and change and adapt over time. And so that's one of the skills that we really try to build out in these early levels is how do we make sure that you're not only getting to know one particular customer, but the wide variety and the gamut that you're going to be starting to arrange. And how are you looking for those consistent threads that tie those customer segments together? And that's where we really want to construct those customer personas. They're meant to really start to channel what that certain demographic is looking for. And so I love that this current graph that Mitch has up here has both kind of the statistics and the channels that surround the kind of consumer style of what these customer personas are looking for, but also that human aspect. I think that's really important. That's something that we need to make sure that we're focusing on as we're constructing customer personas, is we can't ignore that human aspect of it as well. And so that's really one of these things that I think is most important when you're starting to channel those customer personas. And I think that's one of the things that I find the most joy in our job is really getting to see those moments click for the people who are participating through our program. Is once they really start to get to know their customer, then the path forward for their company becomes a lot clearer.
Mm-hmm. And if I could just jump in here, I'm loving what y'all are saying on this chat. I mean, I think now's the time to, if you hadn't already taken the effort to sort of define your persona, to put it into context. And so, Natalie, you brought up an awesome point. Sometimes demographical or the psychographic may not be as relevant, but in the COVID era, in this pandemic that we are all sort of navigating through, all of our customers are different. They're making decisions very differently and with a different level of scrutiny. So even if you might have a persona that you had created a month ago or 4 months ago, there's a strong chance that that persona has largely changed. And for those of you that are making the jump from a largely in-person sales process to a digital process, knowing their digital footprint is almost as important as knowing your own. So I love this conversation that's happening in the chats. Lisa, you're totally right. They're probably making very different decisions about how they're changing their house right now, if they're changing their house. In one way, that could be a very daunting process, but in another way, you might be the solution to their sort of, I'm sitting in this home and it's driving me nuts because it's not working the way I need it to work right now. So anyway, keep the conversation in chat going. It's super, super helpful. Lean on each other to ask questions, and then we'll try and answer them in these little breakouts that Mitch is providing us.
Yeah, and yeah, thank you for, I'm not seeing the chat right now on my screen. But yeah, please keep on sharing those questions, concerns, excitements, because it's always good, because there's always an explanation to any of this content. All right. So I definitely mentioned I'm a very sales-oriented type of person. So naturally, I'm constantly thinking about funnels with explanation. So this is a good slide and you should be thinking that way too. But I just kind of outlined existing customer persona. Yes, there's a dollar amount to that with your monthly recurring revenue. And then you should always think about, okay, if you've added a few different digital first new customer personas, what is that going to bring to your monthly recurring revenue? And also, what are the channels that you need to add and simulate to convert them down into a funnel of the awareness, evaluation, purchase, delivery, and after sale aspect. I wrote this down. I was thinking about this webinar this morning, and I wrote down these questions to think about for you to ponder with this slide in mind. It's through what channels do your customers want to be reached? How are you reaching them now? And you don't have to answer that, and maybe use this chat to put some of your answers here. How are your channels integrated within your website, or are they integrated with Yelp? Are they integrated with OpenTable? Are they integrated with Grubhub? Are you even integrated with Slack to push more content out? Which ones work best? What are most cost effective? And what are top of mind in the routine of those customer personas? All right, so going to the next one is refining your value proposition. Again, we have the shields, the modules that TSC helps with, or that involves the value proposition. What is the value proposition? It's a promise of a value to be delivered. It's a primary reason a prospect should buy from you. They are simple, clear, compelling messages that turns an unaware visitor into an interested prospect. Really have that top of mind. It has to be clear, concise, and compelling. Understand it in 5 seconds. And that's a very hard thing to do, but I really want everyone, there's a few things to take away is really remember that statement and refine your message grid from the value props that you're giving. And then why, simply put, it's unique identifiers. That's what a value prop is, showcasing these unique identifiers. Now this slide is really, everyone knows this slide. This is the value prop canvas. It's really, it's copyrighted, and we use it as well as kind of like the visual to understand what you need to be thinking about. And again, it's the customer segment. You're thinking the gains, the pains, and the jobs to be done with. And then you're moving to the left to the value prop. What are the gain creators? What are the pain relievers? And what's the product and services? Now, it is coming naturally. I put this visual into a sales funnel where this is my aspect of the 6 components into a funnel to acquire a customer. So let's kind of go over some of those real quick. the job to be, it's what is your job? What is the job your customer wants to get done? Now, this could be functional, social, emotional jobs. And it could be the feed me or my family. Help me order. Help me remember my past order. I'm thinking of the Chipotle app with that. So those are simple jobs that Chipotle has helped me do during this time. Is now it's a 2-click, and I have paid for my order, just paid for 2 different people, and my food's going to be ready in 15 minutes. That is something that they have enhanced in their app. Now the gains. Yep.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, Natalie, with Boy Jones, you have a really interesting opportunity because moving an entire very in real life physical experience to a virtual world. I wonder if you'd be willing to hop on chat and think a little bit about what are the jobs that were done 4 weeks ago that need to be done now, and how have those changed? And then I would say, Andy Cockle's on here too, and I can pick on him a little. How has the Supreme Court's job changed, and what are the nuances, and how can you support those attorneys? So those are just 2 persons in the chat that I thought, gosh, you might have some really interesting anecdotes here.
Oops. Perfect. Oops. Yeah, thank you for that. Keep the questions and keep commenting, Erica. So the gains here, what I was wanting to talk about is, what makes your customer happy? What makes their life and their job to be done easier? And, there's a few options, and here's some examples. Online ordering. I mean, I've seen a number of different small businesses in online where they push online ordering, but they didn't have the capability yet. Or they did have the capability, and now their business has grown to sustain during this time. So it's a very interesting feature. SMS, text messaging, online forms to customize quotes, online calendar to be seamless to get someone to set up an appointment with, for a demo, or just web-friendly menus. Now, going to the pains. What is annoying and troubling to your customer? Well, maybe it's slow service with no communication. Maybe it's spotty bandwidth. Maybe it's no website. Maybe it's no app. Maybe it's no phone number, but only an email address for customer service. Maybe there's no confirmation. Maybe there's no post-sale communication during this time. One simple thing is I shopped with a local boutique, bought something, and she wrote a handwritten note and then added additional discount with an expiration of end of April, which I thought was just tremendous. And she asked she said, hey, email me and you can do a virtual shopping experience. I was like, wow, she is thinking ahead, digital first with very smart strategy there. What is preventing them to get the job done? Is it no pricing on your site? Is it slow follow-up? Is it checks and cash only? Is it real-time? Is there no real-time chat or live chat on your website? So going to the right-hand side is the pain relievers. And really, how can you help your customer relieve their pains? How do you fix their current underperforming solutions? How do you eliminate risk from your customer's fears? Well, a simple thing of eliminating fears would maybe be a frequently asked questions section on your website, or even an email retargeting those questions. Another one would be explainer videos, and those can be done in low budget as for sure. Or you can go to Canva or Upwork and hire someone to that. How it works visuals or user experiences, testimonials, one-on-one demos, a simple onboarding process. So those are all things that help eliminate those risks. Gain creators. What can you offer your customer to help achieve their goals? Well, is it tech? Is it video? Is it smiles virtually? Whatever. Think about those things. How do you outperform the current solution? Well, here's a number of different ways you could do that. Newness, which would be the fresh car smell. Your high performance, customization to your offerings. Cleaner design, UX and UI. Tiered pricing, cost reduction. Maybe a trial period. Maybe a bundled package, maybe not just price, but a bundled package per your user. Risk reduction, accessibility to larger libraries or coverage or content or photos, personalization. And I think Vineyard and Squarespace are doing an incredible job of this right now, where they are giving customization and personalization to their offerings. Now, yes, it was a higher rate, and now they're giving it for free, but it's really shown a lot of good value. And lastly, it's products and services. What are the products and services you offer your customers so they can get their job done? So I want to pause here. Erica does a really good job and really works with the Startup Collaborative Fellows on the value proposition. Erica, do you have anything you want to add or any kind of situational thinking?
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of you guys can probably relate to the position that your buyer or your customer is in right now. They're doing more with less. There's a lot more scarcity, both in their mindset, but also probably in their budget. And then, Andy, you just made this comment about everyone's moving remote. Everyone's working remote. And so if you think on the other end of your customer, if you're in a B2B space, that means either a CEO or an employee of some type. They have to figure out now how to easily communicate the rationale and the decision to buy. So Mitch's points on how-to documents or FAQs are really, really important there. I think also, a good way to figure out if your value prop is delivering the most need at the right time is to figure out if it is in fact a painkiller or a vitamin. And so this is sort of a cliche that has been widely adopted in the startup space. But if you think about in the startup world, or if you think about in your day-to-day world, if you have a terrible headache, or let's say you have a terrible fever, you are likely to take aspirin to make that go away. You do not want that. You will do almost anything to get rid of it so you can get back to your world. Now, your doctor might also tell you at your annual visit that, God, you could really use a multivitamin, or you're slightly vitamin D deficient. The chances of you being persistent and consistent with your vitamin are slim to none, at least research and academic studies would show. So you want your company to be aspirin in this scenario. You need to be extra strength Tylenol or Advil, whatever your choice is here, especially at the time of COVID, because people are really, really struggling to make a decision. So make the decision easier for them and make the win obvious for them. And your value prop should encompass that. So that's kind of what I have there. If you guys have any more questions on value propping, or if you want to spend a little time one-on-one with Mitch or Cameron or I just digging into your value prop and your customer persona, let us know, message us directly. We would be happy to peel off half an hour and just go deep with you on that.
Yes, we would love it. We'll provide our emails and we'll get something on the calendar. All right, so 3 is kind of level up CRM, and we're gonna exceeded. We're at 4:33 right now, so I'll try to be a little bit fast so we can have some Q&A, because I do see a lot of good questions going on. What is a CRM? It helps manage customer. It's a software that helps manage customer communication, focus on the most valuable opportunities, and provides the best customer experience throughout the entire buying process. Why do you need one? You know what, simply put, it supercharges your sales, marketing, and operational workflow. And it's very, very true. We have seen in the last, let's say, year, how different sales outreach and marketing outreach and how founders are thinking since we've implemented a CRM with the founders. What does a CRM do? Now, there's a number of things, and I have some good content that we're going to be publishing soon, talking about a number of different benefits, but I just picked 3 here. And the first one is it's one centralized location. Really, we consolidate good data, contacts, lead lists, past communications, buying history for everyone to be accessible. So Erica, Cameron, we all see everything all in one platform. Benefit number 2 is to sell more faster. It automates certain tasks for you to do what you do best and to sell. It also standardizes the sales process, which then shortens the sales cycle and keeps deals moving forward. I see that every single day when we analyze a sales funnel, and it really helps moving deals go fast. Benefit number 3 is stay focused on your customer. Know where all your customers stand. This is just a little, a good visual of how we're using HubSpot, the free version of HubSpot. And just the baseball card of myself, there's a lot of information that you can filter for that person. There's a company tagged to a contact, and there's always a deal associated with that contact or company. Now, I'm not a sales prospect for TSC, so I don't have a deal associated with my account, but a number of companies would. Now, if we talk CRM, we have to talk sales funnel. We have to understand what a sales funnel is, and that's what I want to talk about now. So what is a sales funnel? It's a multi-step process that moves prospective customers into a buyer. So it's a lead, it's an opportunity, and then it's a customer. So why? Why is this important? To every CRM rollout, you should never overlook this, your deal stages. Your deal stages should be in sync with your customer's buying journey. And this helps accurately forecast kind of your sales and your pipeline, which is really key. And if you have questions about this, please ask about it because I love talking about it. Naturally, here's the funnel again. I've kind of shared 2 different sales funnels with core deal stages for business to business and also direct to consumer. Now, the B2B is pretty simple. It's the whole prospecting, qualifying, or discovery stage. Then you move into the demo, contract sent, and then you won or lost. And that's always good to have. On the direct to consumer side, it's a little different where there's awareness, there's interest, there's decision that's going on, there's action, and then there's retention. I will tell you, some people say, well, I'm an e-commerce company. I don't need a funnel. You do, because there's a number of frictions points to a buying process. And it's very useful to analyze, how many people are in that decision or the interest stage that have not made a decision. And what can you do proactively within marketing, within collateral to really convert that user. I will pause there real quick. Erica, Cameron, do you have anything to add? Or Jim?
No, I'm loving seeing people's comments on how they're using their CRM. I mean, Marco's sort of being a little bit transparent in the sense that he's got a CRM, but he wants to make that part of his routine. Emily, it sounds like you're using Zendesk. Would love to hear more about that. Lisa, you've been willing to share throughout this. I'd love to hear what you're using. MailChimp, great. Tony, we haven't heard from you quite yet. Ron, we haven't heard from you. I would love to hear what other people are using. And if you're not using something, it's completely fine. Use the next 5 to 6 days before part 2 of this session to get something up and going. Now's the time to really understand where each of your customers are in relation to your company. And that's incredibly important right now, because all you are able to do is track them online in theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I saw someone said that it can be a little messy at CRM, and intimidating. But we have a really good kind of rollout strategy. We have a deliverable that we could probably share with everyone. It's very simple, but it's a step-by-step process. And yes, it does do some, create some work, but when the heavy lifting is done, you are going to have a very organized sales outreach. And I will tell you, from being a successful founder to also a failed founder in a past life, having a clean, organized CRM with great sales funnels really made a difference in the success rate of sales, new business, marketing, customer service.
And I would say, this is one of Mitch's happiest places is within a sales funnel. We tease him a lot about this at the office. If you walk past an area that has a whiteboard, there's a chance Mitch has drawn a beautifully done sales funnel on it. But what Mitch did when he came onto the Startup Collaborative team is he really, really forced us into a funnel. And I will tell you what, that acknowledgement that we were lacking in sophistication in our sales funnel has made a massive difference in our ability to scale. We're seeing 2, 3, 4 times the amount of applicants to our program. And the result of that is that this sales funnel, as really well calculated in our CRM, is easy to pull any of those people up at any given time. We have automated campaigns going to them. And we also have funnels for our active fellows to figure out who seems to be really lagging in that phase of their startup journey on the prototype. What's taken so long? When was the last time we talked to them? I think it's taken our small team really to not just the next level, but maybe 3 or 4 levels above in terms of our sophistication and our well, I'm not going to be able to say that word today. Sorry, team. But you kind of get where I was going, operationalizing our business. So I noticed earlier Jess had said that, she's really living out of her CRM now more than she ever was. And so I hope that all of you guys can find an opportunity to do that too.
Yeah. Don't be shy. Reach out so I can really hone in. And I do want to just identify a use case here. And in my past life, I was a business development salesperson, and I mostly did webinars and demos online. And yes, I did have a budget to visit a number of people, but I did not do it unless it was maybe the second demo. Because you think right here in the qualifying, you should never have a meeting, a face-to-face meeting, if you haven't qualified them yet. If you really want to scale, it's a contact sport. You have to reach out. It's a numbers game. So you should be always qualifying your leads first, identifying that it's the right fit. Then naturally you go through to the demo side of things. But when you get really good at that, you're going to have a demo. You could play 10 to 15 demos a week. Gosh, I was doing a little bit more than that. But I had a lot of segments going on. I had a lot of prospects that were biting my emails. Then I was qualifying them for 20 minutes, then identified the right decision makers and moved into a demo. But when you start analyzing your behaviors to deal stages, you really can increase your numbers. So yes, maybe next week you should have a goal of 5 demos a week. But you know what? I bet you in 30 days, you can get to 7 to 10 demos a week. With that means you have to take notes and there's follow through. And a CRM does that, because let's be honest, everyone. We can be forgetful. We had a great conversation. We had 3 awesome bullet points that they want to learn more. But you know what? You had 3 other conversations that day. So notating all of your notes and follow through in a CRM really helps with the busy work and just good content or good follow through. All right.
Hey, Mitch, BC added a great question. Very small micro businesses, they might not have even thought let alone have a CRM, what is the very first and most simple step to get one started?
Yeah, I love this question. Thanks, BC. I would say Excel file. I would want first name, last name, company, and what's the customer segment? What is the vertical that you're trying to reach? So let's say if I'm selling payments and I want to sell into nonprofits, well, I probably need to upload a list of contacts to be into your CRM. So I need Mitch Treu at ABC Nonprofit and their email address, and maybe their phone number, because your sales outreach could be email and phone. So that would be the first step, is column 1, first name, column 2, last name, column 3, email, company name, phone number, and really get that clean list. Because you want clean information, so then you can really push out a lot of outreach fast and easier. Great question. If I didn't answer,
as a follow-up to that, guys, we're going to be compiling some of our best templates and tools, as well as this slide deck, to package and email to all of you participants, so you have it ready when you are taking those first steps or when you're leveling up the CRM.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll be happy to do that. Let's go to the fourth one. It's the audit of your kind of digital footprint. What is a digital footprint? I kind of joke, I had a little fun with this definition, so have an open mind, but it is a unique set of digital activities, action, and communication that leaves a data trace of your brand. Really, it's just what is out there on the internet that represents your brand. That's really the digital footprint. Why do you need to start thinking about auditing your communication and what you have on the internet? It's because it's proven to be that we are self-learners, we are self-starters, and we're self-servicing consumers. So it's not just like we knocked on the door, we're going to go to a brick and mortar and ask questions and buy. There's a number of different ways that our shoppers are consuming and buying. So we have to fuel their interests and their behaviors. So this visual is really talking about, and this helps with your kind of your audit digitally. And here's some metrics that you should be thinking about. So for your website, you should have Google Analytics and Analytics set up, and you should be actively trying to identify those metrics and those KPIs for your website. So simply, here's some of the popular ones that are very effective. Traffic source. So it was Facebook leading to someone's website. You need to know that. But you know what? Is Pinterest the leader? Exit page. When are the people exiting? The average time spent on your website, the average pages per visit. Those are really, really good metrics that really show kind of how good your content is on your website. Social media. Are people retweeting? Are they tagging you? Are influencers picking up your content and talking about it on their own? Now, we had a company, Juno, that a good friend of mine just posted about Juno. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool that she took the initiative, that she found it organically and wanted to post about a company that was doing something very cool. That's a really awesome way that or validation that they're doing something great. Are people mentioning, are you on the web or media? Make sure that you're identifying that. And you should be tagging your partners and your customers in any aspect. Oops. PR, earned media. Are you receiving earned media? Paid search, impressions, cost per conversion, cost per click. Also, Google reviews. This is one of the most important and easiest to do, is what is the star count and what's the review number on your Google reviews? That's the easiest way to really help with your SEO and just having a good footprint digitally.
Mitch, I love that. And I don't know if you saw, Lisa's some excellent tips right now on how to form some brand partnerships and referrals through other companies that are driving lots of traffic, and she's doing it at no cost. So I think, Lisa's got some good case studies there that she'll probably be willing to share. No, Lisa. But those are the type of things that we're talking about here.
Perfect. For brand partner, okay. And this is the last slide before we do any kind of Q&A. And it's one of my favorites is, instead of giving you strategy here, it's like we outline kind of the biggest digital mistakes and how to avoid. So we'll kind of go through these quickly, but we can provide this presentation to you guys. Not knowing your audience. Gosh, that is so important if you don't know your audience there. How to avoid? Tap into outside perspective, validation, no assumptions. I'm gonna say that again, no assumptions. Don't bring your bias into the customer and the audience. Test to erase any doubt. Next one would be social media strategy. No social media strategy. So it's like, maybe I dabble it once or twice. Maybe I post once a week on Facebook. That isn't good enough. And we can be honest. We can take that hard statement. Don't underestimate how powerful social media can be, because social media is content and everyone wants content. And today's society and today's current market, yes, we have more time or less time. So content really influences things. So make it a priority and try more than one network. One thing that TSC is doing is we're not just on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're actually on LinkedIn too. And we're thinking about being on Pinterest because everyone wants quick deliverables and more visual deliverables. And you know what? Pinterest does a good job of that. Ignoring SEO, never do that. I know it's something that maybe is confusing, but learn the basics and best practices and or hire out. That's how you can avoid that. Not testing properly. So this is something that the fellows that are on right now have probably heard me numerous times say that. Well, it didn't work out. No, it maybe didn't work out because it wasn't done properly. It wasn't executed properly. So if maybe email marketing didn't work out or social media didn't work out, well, maybe rethink the way that you ask the call to action. Maybe the content and the messaging wasn't accurate or simple enough. Maybe the time of day, maybe the day of the week wasn't accurate. Maybe the tone or voice or the color wasn't accurate. So to avoid those kind of mistakes, test it. Have a hypothesis first and gather enough data to really say, okay, that wasn't a good channel. Or you know what, that is a good channel. That is converting a number of potential opportunities on my site, and they're downloading something. Yes, they are not making a purchase, but they are going through the funnel. That is effective marketing. And lastly, using the same tactics on every channel. That's something that's probably the biggest mistake, but you have to rethink kind of that strategy. I will tell you a situation. The Start Collaborative, we have identified that, each of us, Erica, myself, and Cameron, we kind of lead or a leader of one platform. And we really take lead on that content and that execution because every platform or channel does acquire good messaging. And lastly is falling behind the times. We've all done it, but one thing that I think is very important is make time to read. Set up news alerts and be a team effort. Join a book club or share information you learn on Slack and really engage. So I'll pause there. I know we're very short on time. We have 6 minutes. I want to be respectful. I think there's some really good comments. Erica, do you have anything to share? Jim, Cameron, BC?
I think the number one thing for me was trying to understand and help those small businesses that I know are on the line and wondering how to get started even with the CRM, which was the question I asked earlier. And then what are some of the tools that they could use once they've got like their Excel file, as you stated earlier? Is there
that's such a good question. And I think you're sort of hitting on, there's a lot of work to do to get ready to be digital first. I think we're all, especially those of us that have moved, from an in-person work environment to a remote work environment. We anticipate those of you that are considering how you move from in-person environments to digital environments, about a week's worth of work in there. And so we wanted to make sure that you had sort of the framework and the strategic guidance today. And then on Monday at the same time, 4 o'clock with y'all, we're going to dig into really tactical executions. Here is a well-functioning, optimized CRM that has automated campaigns that just trigger even when you're away from your desk. Here is a really strong social media campaign that drives referrals and drives action. Here's how to successfully do some PR and get the most benefit out of it. Mitch, what am I forgetting for sort of between strategy and high level getting your house in order today to the real down and dirty execution next week?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about pipeline management and, the importance of like call to actions, the ask as well. So downloadable, value content that you have to deliver for sales. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of heavy lifting that has to be done before you start your digital sales outreach. And the thing is yes, it can be time consuming, but it can be scalable. Once you are ready and your house is clean and organized, you really can increase your outreach, not just your backyard, but the Midwest, and nationwide, because you can push out more messaging and more prospecting. One thing that we'll want to talk about next week is the importance of prospecting, in a clean list. So a number of times you may have, let's say 100 leads and it's ABC company, but then there's a phone number. It's just a 1-800 number. There's no point of contact. There could be a gatekeeper and a decision maker, and there's a 1-800 number. Well, that doesn't help you really streamline and automate your sales outreach digitally. So that's where we really hone in on a clean CRM and prospecting lists to really push good sales outreach. What are your thoughts on that, BC?
I keep forgetting to unmute.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great plan. I really do, because we deal with quite a few small, micro businesses, and this is a question that has been coming up over and over. The other thing too is that a lot of them that can contact their customers, they're looking at, even those that are consulting, looking at how to now do that in a virtual way. So there's a lot of stuff that's people are thinking about right now. Not that this is the same thing, but I mean, it's just, I think going digital is the way to go, and we just need to be able to get there. So I appreciate this, and I'm looking forward to Monday.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of good content, and just so you can walk away with a clear answer, make sure your clients know, have that customer, that ideal customer or customers, and those are decision makers, but also gatekeepers, and make a list. And it should be first name, last name, email address, and phone number. It's how comfortable they want to be with their sales outreach, and they need to have that organized. So when they can push out some emails, like maybe a 3 touch point drip email campaign, they can easily ask for a 15-minute meeting or 30-minute meeting to qualify that lead. And they can just do it over the phone, or they can just do through Zoom. And now Zoom's free, if you limit the meeting to 40 minutes, which you can do that. You never want to have a qualifying meeting more than 40 minutes, because the ultimate goal is, from a qualifying conversation, you want to have a demo or another meeting with decision makers. So tell them to create that customer list.
In the essence of time, Andy's got another question around that. If we're launching in 2 weeks, it sounds basic. What are the best steps, though? Develop a site, contact specific prospects, but how do we do all this? And I think, Mitch, to your point just a second ago, how clean is your prospect list, and does your CRM have your defined sales stages and the related content in there? Important. On Monday, what we'll take you all through is content that supports each phase of a B2B and a B2C sales funnel. So how do you structure and how do you get that checklist that Jessica was mentioning or Andy's asking to make sure that you've got the right things in place and the right tools in your toolkit? Yeah,
it's true. And you don't need to upgrade. I mean, we are using a free offering, so we are taking, it's to the fullest. We're using it to the fullest, but you don't need to upgrade or even pay for a expensive CRM. Now, I wanted to talk about, Marco is using Soho, and it's inexpensive, but you're not set up for mass mailings yet. So do you need mailings? Can you be pushing email campaigns? And they don't need to be marketing branded emails. They can be very basic text emails. Now, you can do it in a number of different ways. You can use software to push out one email and it goes to a number of people, or you can do it manually, and learn the process and really hone in on your content. I don't know, Mark, if that answered your question.
At the end of the day, y'all, I think this all really comes down to your customer personas and how they want to be reached and what decisions they're making in the process to do business with you, which really influences a lot of the details around your individual sales cycles and the tools that you'll use. And like we said, we're going to try and give you as many hacks to all of that tactically next week as we can. But prior to next week, spend a little bit of time thinking about your customer. And, in Lisa's case, how many times do they search home decor sites before they decide that they can't do it themselves and they need a little help? How do you sort of insert yourself in those conversations sooner? How do you capture them? How do you help them make a decision to
commerce or give me some color on some of your clients?
Well, and Mitch, I think in the essence of time, since we're over already, maybe we can offline directly with some people if that's okay.
Okay. Perfect. Well, in closing, we can, we'll stay on the line if you have any further questions. But yeah, in respect of time, we can close this. We will be talking in more detail of the strategy of digital first sales. But today was very mostly to clean house and really get the due diligence and the heavy lifting done so we really can execute the sales outreach strategy. Again, thanks for the partners hosting, Jim, BC, and then
And same to you, Mitch. Thanks for this and doing this, and we look forward to next week. I think BC and I have taken all the ideas away for our clients.
Yes. Thanks, Mitch. This was great.
Perfect. All right, BC, we'll get your email address and send me more questions, and
okay,
I can answer them before Monday.
That'd be great.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Lisa, how do you register for Monday?
Lisa, That's a great question. I'll make sure that I post links on our social media for where to register. It'll be similar to how we posted through LinkedIn, but I'll make sure that we do a quick post right after this. I'll hop onto our social media channels so you can find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And I'll make sure that we get a post with that link out right away. And make sure if you've got coworkers, colleagues, friends, anyone that's happening to have these questions at the same time as you, make sure that they are hopping in, or maybe that you can ask some of those questions for them as well too. So we want to make sure we can provide as much information to kind of better the entire ecosystem overall. So if you've got some of those coworkers or colleagues, make sure that they tune in next week, and we'll try to get those resources to you all after this.
And they can also sign on to the Do Space calendar. That Zoom workshop is already there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you, BC.
I just shared my email address for everyone to send any emails my way. Lisa, if you want to talk a little bit about sales funnel before Monday, I'm happy to do that.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks.